Downgraded. For reaction from Paris, senior international correspondent Jim Bitterman joins us now. We've got confirmation now, right, Jim?
Right. In fact, we've got confirmation from the French finance minister himself, who was in an emergency meeting at the Elysee Palace this afternoon with President Sarkozy, and then went directly from that over to French television. And I think they wanted to head off the official announcement from New York by making it look like they're in control of the situation at least a little. And in fact, he went on French television this evening in the big 8 o'clock news, which is the major news block here, and announced that, in fact, France had been downgraded one notch to AA+. And then went on to explain the reaction to that. He said it's not good news. He said the government is going to continue on the course it's set towards reforms, and basically said that it's the government and not the markets which is setting financial policy, Max.
And in terms of economics, what does this mean? Is there a concern about the affordability of France's debt right now?
Well, we heard earlier this afternoon from the government spokesman who said, look, this does not mean that France is not going to pay its debt, that it's solid and all the rest of it. And as you've been talking, I think you've heard that, in fact, the markets have pretty much factored in this downgrade over the last 4 weeks or so. President Sarkozy himself anticipated it back in mid-December and said, while this would be bad news and make things difficult, it wouldn't be insurmountable. It is going to cause problems, though, because it basically means that everything the government does, and in some things that the private sector does, there could be increased interest rates at a time when growth here is pretty much flat. And as a consequence, it's going to be another weakness in the French economy. And, of course, the French have been totally implicated, totally engaged in this effort to shore up the bailout funds for Europe. So from that standpoint, if France looks weak, then you have to say, well, is this European bailout fund, has that been weakened as well, Max?
And does it strengthen or weaken Sarkozy going into the election?
I would say very much so. In fact, the opposition, his opposition, there's a lot of opponents out there that would like to bring him down. And in fact, this afternoon, all afternoon long, as soon as this rumor started this afternoon, they've been on television saying this is a proof of the failure of Sarkozy's policies. We heard this morning at the European American Press Club from Marine Le Pen, the Front National candidate, and even before this news came out, she was saying that France has no business in the euro and should pull out of the euro and all of that. Now, of course, she's been back on television as this announcement came to light this afternoon, and she's been back on television and saying this is a complete failure of the government's financial policies. And so I think that for Sarkozy, it's going to be a big blow politically. We'll see how it plays out. It's still 100 days before the elections here, but nonetheless, it's going to be something that he very much worked for. He said he was going to keep France in that AAA box. But in fact, it looks like he hasn't been able to pull that off.